Mjölnir was forged wrong. The most famous weapon in the Nine Realms, the hammer that splits mountains and levels giants, came out of the forge with a handle too short for a proper grip, and it happened because Loki turned himself into a fly, bit a dwarf in the eyelid, and made him bleed into his own work. The bellows dropped, the rhythm faltered, the metal set before it should have, and Thor's hammer was born flawed. But that flaw is the only reason it exists at all. It starts, like most disasters in Norse myth, with Loki doing something petty. He cut off Sif's hair while she slept, the wife of Thor, golden hair that grew from her head like living wheat, and Loki sheared it to the scalp for no reason anyone can name. Thor found out, grabbed Loki by the throat, promised to break every bone in his body unless he fixed it. So Loki did what Loki does. He ran to someone more talented and begged them to solve his problem. He went below the earth, into Svartalfheim, to the sons of Ivaldi, master craftsmen, dwarves who could shape metal and magic into the same object. They spun gold that would grow like real hair and root itself in Sif's skull. But they didn't stop there. They forged Skidbladnir, the ship that folds into a pocket and always finds fair wind. They forged Gungnir, the spear that never misses its mark. 3 gifts, enough to buy Loki's life and then some, but Loki couldn't leave it alone. He crossed the cavern to another forge, to the brothers, Brokkr and Atri, and he made a wager. Your brother can't forge anything half as fine as what the sons of Ivaldi just made. Brokkr stiffened. He can forge better. Then prove it, Loki said. 3 works. If they're greater, you can have my head. The terms were sworn, witnessed, binding. Eitri stoked the coals and set the first work in motion. In Snorri Sturluson's Prose Edda, in Skáldskaparmál, the account is brief but clear. Loki sabotaged the forging. He became a fly. He bit Brokkr on the hand while the bellows pumped. The dwarf didn't stop. The work held. Out came Gullinbursti, the boar with bristles of gold that could run faster than any horse through air or water, and whose light could pierce any darkness. Eitri placed the second work on the anvil. Loki bit again, this time on the neck. Blood ran down Brokkr's collar. He gritted his teeth and kept the bellows moving, rhythm unbroken. Out came Draupnir, the ring that every 9th night drips 8 rings of equal weight, endless wealth, endless power, 2 for 2. Atri set the final piece into the forge, iron, strange iron, star-cold and old, the fire around it bent the wrong way. Do not stop, Atri said, not for anything. He began to shape it with words and hammer both, and Loki came at Brokkr with everything he had left. He bit him just above the eye, hard enough to pierce the skin. Blood welled up and spilled down into Brokkr's vision. He blinked, swatted at the fly with one hand, and for just a moment, just a breath, the bellows stopped. The fire dipped. The metal cooled a fraction too soon, and when Eitri pulled the work from the flame, the handle had set short. Mjölnir, the hammer that would never miss, that would always return to the hand that threw it, that could level a fortress or summon lightning from a clear sky. But it sat unbalanced in the palm, the forehaft barely long enough for 2 hands, a weapon that would punish the wielder as much as the struck. Atri stared at it. It'll do, he said. They hauled the treasures to Asgard, to the Hall of Judgment. Odin sat the high seat, Thor and Freya beside him. This was law. This was witness and verdict both. The sons of Ivaldi presented their works first. The hair, green gold and alive, already rooting in Sif's head. The ship that could carry an army and fold into a man's belt. The spear Odin would carry into Ragnarok itself. Murmurs of approval, hard to top. Then Brokkr laid his brother's works before the gods, the boar, the ring, the hammer. Freyr took Gullinbursti and ran his hand through the glowing bristles. I'll ride this into every battle I fight. Odin took Draupnir and slid it onto his arm, wealth without conquest, power without limit. Thor lifted Mjölnir. It was heavy, uneven, graceless, but when he swung it, the air itself cracked open. When he willed it back, it slapped into his palm like it had always been there. The giants will break against this, Odin said, and that was all that mattered. Defense, survival, the wall between Asgard and the things outside that wanted it dead. The judgment came swift. Brokkr's works were greatest. The wager was won. Loki owed his head. Come here, Loki, Brokkr said. Loki grinned, spread his hands. The head, yes, I swore it. But the neck, that belongs to me. The wager didn't include the neck. So take the head if you can, but you'll have to do it without touching what's mine. Silence. Loki thought he'd won. Brokkr looked at his brother. Eitri shrugged. Fine, Brokkr said. We'll take something else. He pulled an awl from his belt, and his brother held Loki down, while Brokkr punched holes through his lips and stitched them shut with cord. No loophole for that. Loki tore the stitching out eventually, but the scars stayed, and every god in that hall remembered what it looked like. The hammer was flawed. That was plain. But it was also the only weapon in all the 9 realms that could do what it did. And it did it because of the flaw, not in spite of it. A perfect hammer might have been too heavy, too slow, too proud. Mjölnir was fast, brutal, honest. It didn't pretend to be more than it was. And Loki? He was the reason Sif lost her hair, the reason the wager was made, the reason the bellows dropped and the hammer came out wrong. He was also the reason the gods had Gungnir, Draupnir, Skidbladnir, Gullinbursti and Mjölnir at all. Trickster, saboteur, problem. Also the one who kept dragging treasure and power into Asgard every time he tried to save his own skin. Both things, always. The flaw was the gift. The gift was the flaw. And when the giants came, Thor held that short-handled, unbalanced, impossible hammer in his fist and broke them into the earth. Like this story, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to keep these sagas alive, if you want to keep the fire burning and the words spoken, then join the circle. Support the work. Become a member. Feed the story or the story dies. Now, Thor was the muscle, but he was never the bravest. That title belongs to another, the only god willing to place his hand inside the mouth of a monster, knowing full well the jaws would close, knowing the price, paying it anyway. His name is written in scars and oaths, and the wolf remembers him still.